Hello students and welcome to our class today. Today's class is going to focus on the profit and loss. These are actually not new terms, but we want to put them into perspective and actually see how they are applied in business and how we can be able actually to know the profit and the loss and how to compute the percentage profit and the percentage loss. If we can start with the profit, we know profit will occur when actually the sales or the selling price it is higher than the cost price. So actually the profit is normally given by the selling price minus the cost price. Cost price is also referred as the buying price. If the selling price is higher than the buying price, then you are going to realize profit. Like for example, if a cow is bought at, we are talking about a cow here. If you buy a cow at 12,500 shillings and you sell it at 13,200 shillings. In this case, you are going to realize profit, which is the same as the selling price of 13,200 minus 12,500, and you'll be able to realize this one is a profit of 700 shillings. So basically the starting point is to know profit can only arise when the selling price is more than the buying price. What you get from selling is more than what you spend in acquiring the item. Then you can be asked to determine the percentage profit. If you are told to determine the percentage profit, it is simply the profit that was realized over the cost price, and then you multiply by 100%, and then you will be able to realize the percentage. Like in this case, the percentage profit will be given by 700 over the cost price, 12,500. Then you multiply by 100%. If you do the calculation there, you'll find that it's going to be 700 divided by 12,500, which is the same as 5.6%. That is the percentage profit. On the other side, we have got the loss. Loss, it is normally realized when the cost price is higher than the selling price. The amount of money that you spend to acquire an item is more than the amount of money you sell that particular item. So loss, it is normally given by the buying price because it is the one that is going to be higher, the buying or the cost price, then you minus the selling price. Then you minus the selling price. The difference between these two will give you the loss because actually the buying price is more than the selling price. So if, for example, you buy a book, we are talking about a book whereby the buying is 120 shillings, and you go ahead and you sell it at maybe 115 shillings. You realize that you are going to incur a loss equivalent to 120 minus 115, which is actually a loss of 5 shillings. We can also be asked to determine the percentage loss, which is normally given by the loss that was incurred over the cost price. Then we multiply by 100%. So for our example here, the loss is 5 over the cost, which is equivalent to buying 120. Then you multiply by 100%. Then you realize that this one is going to be 5 divided by 120 is going to be 4.16%. 4.167%. 4.167%. That is actually the percentage loss. After knowing how the two terms are used and how to calculate them, we can now go to see how are they applied in business. Then you will note this: if a business has made profit, then it means that the selling price is greater than the buying price. And then you note this: at buying price, the item is at 100%. At buying price, you realize it is at 100%. If you buy an item and you sell that particular item at the same buying price, then you realize that there is no profit and there is no loss that you are going to incur if there is no other expenses that are attached to that particular item. So if you go ahead and you sell it above the buying price, then you realize that there's going to be a profit. In this case, you'd find that the profit, it is when the item is sold, occurs when the item is sold above 100%. At 100%, there is no profit. It's a neutral point. If you sell it above the 100%, then you have realized the profit. You can find a case, maybe you find that the item was sold at a profit of, let's say, item X was sold at a profit of 5%. This simply means that it was sold, so the selling price in percentage is going to be 100%, 100% plus 5, which would say it was sold at 105%. It was sold at 105%. But note this: the buying price, which is the same as the cost price, it is always at 100%. So if it was a profit, then it was sold above 100%. This is this. Then you can come here and you say, if that item was sold at this price, this, like for example, this was sold for 120 shillings. It was sold for 120 shillings, realizing a profit of 5%. You can be asked, can you calculate the cost price? Can you calculate the cost price? You can come here and you say, if it was sold at 120 and a profit of 5% was made, then it was sold at 105. Come here and you say 105% is equivalent to 120 shillings. What about the cost price, which is normally represented by 100%? So it's going to be 100% times 120 shillings over 105%. 1% and percent will cancel out, so you can be able to compute this as 100 times 120 is equal divided by 105. You find that that item must have costed 114.29 shillings. So you can be able to solve this question by having that concept in mind. At the cost price, it is 100%. If profit was made, it was sold at above 100%. Similarly, if an item is sold at a loss, if an item is sold at a loss, then it is sold below 100%. Remember, 100% is equivalent to the cost or the buying price. And at this price, there is no profit or loss. If it is sold below 100%, then there is loss. If, for example, we can have this question that is saying, an iron box was sold at 590 shillings, which translated to a loss of 10%, which translated to a loss of 10%. It was sold at 590, and then by selling at that price, a loss of 10% was incurred. What was its buying price? You can come here and you say, if it was a loss of 10%, then it was sold at 100 minus 10, and all this is in percentage, so it was sold at 90%. If we are asked about its buying price is always represented by a percentage of 100. So we can come here and say, if 90% is equivalent to 590 shillings here, because that is the selling price. What about 100%, which is actually the cost or the buying price? It is going to be 100% times 590 over 90%. How much, or how much yes is this? It is 100 times 590 divided by 90. You find that it was bought at 655.56. That is actually the price at which it was bought, but it was sold at this. You can be able to see that the cost or the buying price is higher than the selling price, so a loss was actually incurred. So I want us to do one or two questions from the ones that you have in the lesson notes, so that you can be in a better understanding position. There's this question that you are asked that is saying, Cindy bought 50 pens. There is a person here by the name Cindy. Cindy bought 50 pens at 100 shillings. This is at 100 shillings. This is in total. The total amount that was spent to acquire the 50 pens was 100. And then you are told he sold each pen. Sold each pen at 2 shillings and 50 cents. Now you are told find percentage profit or loss that was made. So you can come here and say, if 50 pens were bought at 100, then the buying price of each pen will be equal to 100 divided by 50, meaning that each was bought at 2 shillings. Each was bought at 2 shillings. And then now you are given the selling price of each pen. We have been told it is 2.5. So we can be able to see here the selling price is higher than the buying price, so profit was made. Profit for each pen was the selling price minus the buying price, which is actually 50 cents. That is the price. But now the question is talking about finding the percentage. So the percentage profit will actually be the profit, which is the same as 0.5 over the cost of each, which is 2, and then you multiply by 100. It is always the profit over the cost. But now we cannot use the cost of 100 because here this is a profit for 1 pen. So we calculate using the cost of 1 pen, and you'll find that this one is going to be 0.5 divided by 2, which is the same as actually 25%. A profit of 25% was realized. A profit of 25% was realized. Let's see what the second question is talking about. The second question is talking about Leonard buys a carpet at 36.80. There's a person by the name Ronald who buys, the buying price of the carpet is 36 that is 680 and sells it at a gain, that is the percentage profit. He gains or gets a percentage profit of 7.5%. How much does he sell? How much does he sell? Always remember, buying price is the same as 100%. Now, if the profit was made, if profit is made, then selling price, the selling price in terms of percentage is going to be 100% plus 7.5%. So it was sold at 107.5%. That is actually the selling price in terms of percentage. Then come here and say, if 100%, which is the buying, is the same as 36.80, what about now 107.5%, which is translating to the selling price? It is going to be 107.5% times 36.80 over 100%. Then you can work out that to get the selling price for that particular profit of 7.5 to be realized. 107.5 times 36.80 then we divide by 100. You find that it must have been sold at 39.56. That 9.56 was the selling price of that. So it's actually a matter of playing around with this. If you are given the buying price, then you have been given the 100%. If profit was made, then you are looking for 100 plus that percentage profit. And now you can be able to calculate the selling price by saying, if 100% is equivalent to this, what about now the percentage of the selling price? How much is it going to be equivalent to? The third question is this. Jenny buys a calculator at 720. There's a calculator that is bought. The buying price is 720 and sells it at 6 2/3%. The selling price at a loss. Loss, it is 6 2/3%. For how much does she sell it? Okay, come here and say this is a loss. This is the buying price. So 100% is equivalent to 720. Buying price is always 100%. If it is a loss, then we minus 6 2/3 from 100%. So 6 2/3, which is 100 minus 6 2/3. 6 2/3, which is the same as 6 0. Actually, it is 6.667 recurring. So 6.667. You find that it was sold at 93.333 recurring. So 93.33 recurring will be equivalent to how much? So if it is a loss, you minus 100. You minus from 100 that particular percentage loss. So 100 minus this, you get this. So if you cross multiply 93.333% times 720, then we divide by 100%, you are going to realize that you will get this. Then you divide by 100, you realize you're going to be 671.997. This is actually the selling price, 671 or approximately 672. That is the price at which that calculator was sold. So can you go to the notes for that particular lesson and then you solve the other questions that I have left. If there is any question, always feel free to be or to get in touch with me. I'll be very, very much ready to assist you. Thank you very much.